Good evening, all. Myself is Surya, MCom student and President of Commerce Club, Department of Commerce, University of Kerala. First of all, I welcome you all to the seventh day of NTA NET online coaching program organized by Commerce Club, Department of Commerce, University of Kerala. I hope that all the participants have subscribed our channel and the recorded sessions of all the previous classes are available in our channel for your reference. So do subscribe, share, and keep supporting us. In today's session, we will be focusing on the topic named People, Development and Environment, which is an area included in Paper 1. And for handling today's session, we have with us Ms. Jeby Johnson, JRF holder and research scholar of our department. She completed her BCom and MCom from Marubani's College, Trivandrum. She has qualified UGC NET exam with JRF in her second attempt while studying in SEM 4 MCom. She has also cleared the SET examination and did her MPhil from Department of Commerce, University of Kerala. Currently, she is doing PhD under the guidance of Dr. K. Suresh Kumar, Professor, School of Distance Education. Along with this, she has been an active participant of about 10 national seminars, 5 international seminars, and have around 7 publications too. So it is a great pleasure to have Jeby ma'am with us. And I welcome Ms. Jeby Johnson to handle today's session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Surya, and good evening, all. Hope you are doing well. Today we are going to. I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Today we are going to deal with the topic people, development, and environment. Actually, these three words are interrelated and interconnected to each other, and this is the most important, vital, and most important area in the current scenario. These three words are interrelated to each other: people, development, and environment. Environment is the basis for all the lives, the existence of the life, whereas the people depends upon the environment for the shelter, air, water, food. And as, as the needs and wants of the people increases, several industrialization, many developments, many technological upgradations were occurred, and along with all the developments are made along with this environment. So these three words, that is people, development, and environment, is interrelated and interconnected to each other. And there is, so this is the most important portion, which is this is the most important portion which is given in the paper one, and I'm going to deal with this area. So let's start. Can you see the PPT?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. First, we want to going to study what do you mean by environment. Environment means the people, place, things, and nature that surrounded any living organisms is called environment. It's a supporting subsystem for our basic life. The word environment is derived from the French word environner, which means to encircle or surround. Environment provides us water, air, food, shelter, and soil. An environment is defined as some total of living, non-living components, influences, and events surrounding an organism. It consists of both living and non-living components. Living components are called a biotic. An example for the biotic components are animal, plants, humans. And non-living components are called a abiotic, which example for the non-living components are land, water, and air. Next is environmental factors. Actually, environmental factors are the factors or elements or environment that affects or influence the living organisms. Environmental factors are broadly classified into two groups: direct factors and indirect factors. Direct factors include the light, air, temperature, soil, nutrients, etc. Direct factors are again classified into two as climate or aerial factors and biotic factors. Climate or aerial factors includes light, temperature, humidity, atmosphere, and rainfall. Whereas the biotic factors it refers to all kinds of interactions between the different forms of life, that is plants, animals, human beings. And indirect factors includes slopes, winds, soil structure. This is again classified into two as edaphic factors and physiographic or topographic factors. Edaphic factors deals with the physical and chemical properties of soil and its formation of the soil, whereas physiographic or topographic factors are includes altitudes, direction of mountain chains, and valleys. Is there any problem in the sharing of the slide?
No, no, no issues.
Okay. Next, we are going to discuss the components of environment. Actually, there are three components. First one is natural, second one is human, and third one is human-made. And in the nature component, it includes air, water, land, and living things. And the components of human and human-made. Human-made means whatever thing which is constructed by the human for its development, for the industrialization, whatever it is. And these are the three components of an environment. Next is spheres of Earth. Spheres of Earth, the Earth is made up of several unique elements and has distinct properties, characteristics, and compositions. These properties and process combine to form the Earth system. Earth system can be classified into four subsystems, and these subsystems, the major subsystems are land, water, air, and living things. And these four subsystems together called spheres. And there are four spheres of Earth, namely atmosphere, hydrosphere, lithosphere, and biosphere. And among these four spheres, the atmosphere is related to the air, and hydrosphere is related to water, lithosphere is related to the earth or land, and biosphere is related to all kinds of living things. Let's see the explanation of these four spheres. First one is atmosphere. Atmosphere means the layers of gases which surround the earth. It's a composed or the dynamic mixtures of various gases. Gases may be nitrogen, it may be an oxygen, it may be carbon dioxide, it may be ozone, etc. And among these gases, the nitrogen constitutes almost 71% of total population of atmosphere. And whereas the oxygen, which is the most important component for the living beings, only it's only 21% of volume of atmosphere. And carbon dioxide constitutes 0.03 percentage of total volume of atmosphere. And carbon dioxide is important to all atmosphere process as it has an ability to absorb heat. And atmosphere consists of water and it consists of dust particles are there. Dust particles are the small solid particles in the atmosphere, which is formed from the soil or dust or pollen, etc. And on the basis of the physical properties, the atmosphere is classified into five different major layers like a troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, and exosphere. Let's see these layers of atmosphere in detail. First one is troposphere. Troposphere is the lowermost layer of the Earth, and the weather phenomena like a cloud, fog, rain, lightning. It occurs in this region. Upper part of troposphere is called a tropopause, and tropopause is a transitional layer. Tropopause is a transitional layer, and this tropopause it separates the troposphere from the stratosphere, and the stratosphere is a layer which is just above the troposphere, and the tropopause separates the troposphere from the stratosphere. And the height of the troposphere is about 15 to 18 or 20 kilometers, and there are some seasonal variation in its heights. because during the summer season, the height of troposphere increases due to the expansion and convection, and during the winter season, the height of troposphere gets declined. That's why we are telling that it's ranges in the 15 kilometers height, but it can vary from 60 kilometers over the equator. And most of the light aircrafts and turboprop aircraft fly within this troposphere. Next is stratosphere. This layer is next to the troposphere. It considers only 30 kilometers in the mid latitudes and an average altitude 50 kilometers above the sea level. Upper limit of the stratosphere is called the stratopause, which separates the stratosphere from mesosphere. And in this region, the ozone is situated in this stratosphere, and the lower portion of the stratosphere having great concentration of ozone is called the ozonosphere. The lower portion of the stratosphere can have the great concentration of ozone, and this is known as ozonosphere. The ozone, and actually in this current situation, this ozone is depleted and damaged due to the chlorofluorocarbons, which get released from the vehicles, AC, or refrigerator. And stratosphere is suitable to fly jet aircraft. Jet aircraft is fly in this layer. This layer is named as stratosphere. The name is given as a this layer got this name stratosphere because the lower layer of stratosphere is colder and upper layer of stratosphere is hotter. And there are two stratas of temperatures involved in this layer. This layer got this name as stratosphere. Next, we're going to see the mesosphere. It's a third layer above the stratosphere. It extends between 50 to 80 kilometers above the sea level. The uppermost part of mesosphere called the mesopause, and this mesopause separates the mesosphere from thermosphere, which is the next layer of the mesosphere. Lowest temperature, this lowest temperature occurs at mesopause. The mesopause is the layer which is the lowest, which mesosphere is the lowest, uppermost part of the mesopause. Sorry, mesosphere, and in this mesopause, the temperature is low, and the reason for the lowest temperature in the mesopause, because when the altitude increases in the mesosphere, the temperature get declines. Meteors are burned up in this layer. This is thermosphere. Thermosphere is extended from 80 to 1000 kilometers above the sea level. In the thermosphere, the temperature increases along with the increases in altitude. The ionization and sodium atoms and the various molecules are occurring in this region because of the presence of X-rays, UV rays of the sun. The ionization process increases the temperature. And the thermosphere is divided into two layers called as ionosphere and exosphere. Ionosphere is extends from 90 to 640 kilometers and it contains ions. Ions are electrically charged particles. And ionosphere is an important layer in radio communication. Radio waves are reflected back in this layer and it produces auroras in the sky. Aurora is a colorful light shown in the sky caused by the sun. They are often seen in the North Pole and South Pole. And exosphere is another classification of the thermosphere, and it extends above 640 kilometer to outer space, and it gradually merges with the outer space. And the density in this layer is extremely low. This is hydrosphere. Hydrosphere is the total amount of water on planet. It includes surface water in the form of ocean, lakes, and rivers, or frozen parts like icebergs, glaciers, and groundwater in the soil, water vapor, etc. And it has more than 4 billion years old. Lithosphere is the solid rocky outer part of the Earth, and which is the most coolest and rigid part of the Earth. It includes the upper part of the mantle and crest, and there are two types of lithospheres. One is oceanic lithosphere, and the second one is continental lithosphere. Oceanic lithosphere is associated with the oceanic crest. and it is slightly denser than continental lithosphere, having the thickness of 7 to 10 kilometer. And its thickness is increases as it gets older. The reason for this thickness is the result of conductive cooling, which converts the hot asthenosphere into lithosphere mantle. The thickness is a result of conducting cooling. That's why the thickness of this ocean lithosphere is getting increasing as it gets older. Next one is continental lithosphere. It's also known as continental crust, and its thickness of the continental lithosphere varies from 25 to 70 kilometer. It's a layer of igneous sedimentary rocks that forms the continents and continental shelves. Actually, about 40% of Earth's surface is covered by the continental crust. Next is biosphere. Biosphere is also known as ecosphere. This word biosphere was coined by the geologist Edward Suez in 1875. Biosphere is a sum of all ecosystems. It has three basic components like abiotic components, biotic components, and energy components. Abiotic components are non-living things, and the biotic components are living things. And living things consist of the plants, animals. Actually, the plants are called the autotrophs because autotrophs just get it's because they are the primary producers and they produces their own food through the photosynthesis. As the plants are the primary producers, they are called autotrophs. And while animals are primary consumers, they are called heterotrophs. And so autotrophs are plants and heterotrophs are animals. So there are three components components in the biosphere like abiotic, biotic, and energy components. Abiotic means non-living, biotic means living things, and energy components. And an energy components is the sun. Sun is a major source of energy. It is a vital component without which life could not be possible on this planet. Next one is ecology and ecosystem. Actually, these two words are most important in the environment, and this is it's a concept which you have to get familiar with this. You have to get familiar with these two words. So I just gave a brief idea of this two words: ecosystem and ecology. Ecosystem includes all organism and physical components, both biotic and abiotic components. The term ecosystem first coined by A.G. Tansley in the year 1935. And ecology deals with the various principles that govern the relationship between the organisms and their environment. And the term ecology coined by the German scientist Ernst Haeckel in 1866. Just remember the persons who given this names as ecology and ecosystem. Just remember the term ecology is coined by the German scientist Ernst Haeckel in the year 1866, and A.J. Tansley coined the word ecosystem in the year 1935. Next is natural resources. Natural resources are the substance which are naturally occurring substance or obtaining from the earth, which is more valuable to create product or services. There are two types of natural resources. First one is renewable natural resources and non-renewable resources. Renewable resources are the resources which can be used repeatedly and replaced naturally. An example for the renewable resources are air, water, sunlight. Non-renewable resources are the resources which cannot be replaced or replenished in the shorter period of time as it takes long years to be formed. Examples for the non-renewable resources are coal, petroleum, natural gas, metals. Next, we are going to see what is natural hazards. Natural hazards is a natural phenomena that have the potential to cause harm to people, property, or both. Uh, and it becomes a natural hazard. It becomes a disaster if it can make any dangers to the life of the people or animals. The natural hazards can be geophysical, hydrological, climatological, meteorological, and biological. Geophysical means earthquakes, landslides, tsunamis, and volcanic activity. Hydrologic hazards, maybe it's a flood, like flood, and the climatological natural hazards are extreme temperature, drought, and wildfire. Meteorological hazards are cyclones or storms or waves, and biological natural hazards are the diseases, epidemics, etc. And natural hazards become disaster when it becomes a danger to the life of the people and animals. And these natural hazards are also caused by anthropogenic process. Anthropogenic process or activity means any activity or the human impact on the earth, which includes the changes to the biodiversity and the natural resources caused either directly or indirectly by the human. It's an impact which is impact on, if there is any activity which by the human which causes any impact on the environment is known as anthropogenic process or activity. And the term anthropogenic was first coined by Russian geologist Alexei Pavlov. The examples for the natural hazards are earthquake, volcanoes, volcanic eruption, landslides, floods, tropical cyclones, tsunamis, and drought. Earthquakes. Earthquakes is a vibrational oscillation of the surface of Earth caused by the elasticity or the isostatic adjustment of the rocks beneath the surface of the Earth. It's a movement in the Earth crust which makes it vibrate and shake the ground. Earthquakes is measured by the machine called a seismometer and produces seismograph. And the intensity is measured on a Richter scale, ranges from 0 to 9.8, which is and the Richter scale is invented by the Charles F. Richter in the year 1935. Earthquakes are caused by either volcanic eruption, tectonic movements, man-made, or micro causes. An earthquake occurs with a frequent volcanic activities when the lava breaks up through the surface of the earth, causes the movement in the earth crust. And of course, earthquakes can also caused by the tectonic movements, as the earth's surface consists of some plates. When these plates moves, the earth crust get affected. And the earthquake can also caused by the caused by the man-made, as the interference of the man-made with the nature can also cause earthquake. It may due to the heavy clubbing of water in dams, nuclear bombing, mining, etc. And micro causes like landslides, collapse of heavy rocks can also causes some minor earthquakes. Earthquakes can cause many damages. It damages and destructs the infrastructure facilities, wildlife, forest, and drainage system. It can disturb the electric supply, causes flood, and many hazardous or many destroys and destructions will be. It can cause many destructions and destroy in the human life, animals, and entire environment. In order to reduce the impact of the damages which is caused by the earthquake, we can adopt some mitigation strategies. Mitigation strategies like improve the strength of the building to resist the earthquakes, to and replace the building having structural deficiencies. Structural deficiencies, build up new facilities for rehabilitation and resettlement of affected population. Second one is volcanic eruption. Volcanic eruptions occurs with a disturbance of the crust, and it occurs when the lava and gas get discharged from the volcanoes. And this disturbs and destroys human settlement and lives of humans, and it can destroy the lives of humans and animals. Even though it disturbs and destroys the human lives and animals, the volcanic lava which is coming up from the volcano is a good source of nutrient-rich soil for agriculture, and it can cause hazards to the human lives, properties such as building, factories, rails and roads, dams, and also make damage to the forest, grasslands, and lakes. And the volcanic eruptions can kill the animals and destroy the wildlife. The effect of the volcanic eruptions can be reduced through the various mitigation process like developing and practicing evacuation plans, replacement of buildings that are located near the hazard zones, or constructing new facilities outside the hazard zone to provide a safe rehabilitation, uh, safe rehabilitation space for the people. Next one is landslides. Landslides is a movement of rock waste, including soil and ice. It occurs when the slope changes its condition from stable to unstable, and it's mainly caused by the factors like a geological cause, morphological cause, and human factors. Geological cause includes the factors like weak or sensitivity, the presence of materials which is more weak or sensitive. So geological causes are the factors such as the materials which are more weak or sensitive, and morphological cause are like erosion or a freezing uh, freezing of water, like that. And human factors are like mining, irrigation projects, and deforestation, etc. So these are the factors which causes for these are the three factors which causes the landslides: geological cause, morphological cause, and human factors. And it can wipe out the entire human settlement, and can destroy all the infrastructure facilities, and it will definitely destroys the entire living things in the earth. And the effect of landslide can be reduced through the slope stabilization and protect the risky buildings by constructing the strong beams, etc. And the next one is tropical cyclones. Tropical cyclones are the irregular wind movement. Actually, this is not a irregular and a uniform cyclones, and these cyclones are developed in between the Tropic of Capricorn and Tropic of Cancer. And this tropical cyclone becomes more strong and moves over the ocean with a high velocity, and becomes weaker when it reaches and moving over the land area, and ends or dies after it reaches the interior part of the continent. And the reason for the tropical cyclones may be here due to the heavy rainfall or high tides or very low atmospheric pressure, unusual rise in seawater, or a heavy wind velocity. And definitely, yes, we can reduce the reduce the damages caused by the tropical cyclone by adopting some mitigation process, like identify the areas and prepare the backup plans, and provide awareness and information through the media that the information about the tropical cyclones, like that. Next one is next the so one of the important natural hazards which we heard and which happened in our state on 26th December 2004, called a tsunami. It's a Japanese word. Su means harbor and nami means wave. It is actually caused by the killer waves, which is in the ocean formed by the undersea earthquakes or volcanic eruptions. And it can cause severe damages to the lives of human. It can destroy the human structure properties in the coastal areas. And these waves can travel at a speed of 500 to 1000 kilometers per hour. And to reduce the effect of this natural hazard, we can ensure that it is possible to reach the designated evacuation in the available time period. Construct the safe facilities outside the tsunami hazard zones for the rehabilitation or a rehabilitation of the people, the coastal people in the coastal region, and construct platforms or beams closer to the risky region, planting mangroves along the coastal areas to protect the coastlines and inhabitants. Next one is flood. Flood is an overflow of the. It's a situation where the water is overflow over the land area continuously for several days, and it is associated with the river as the high volume of water is overflowing the river banks. It can cause damages to the building and other constructions, can increases also it can increases the waterborne diseases like malaria, dengue, etc. And the reason for the flood can maybe a deforestation, heavy rainfall, or construction of bridge, construction of dam, or blocking the free flow of river or urbanization. And this effect can be reduced by the construct channels bordered by artificial paths and by construct flood control storage reservoirs. And the last natural resource is a drought. Actually, a drought is a situation of shortage of water when the flow of water in the rivers or streams get declines and the water levels in the wells and reservoirs get declines. And the major reason for the drought may be rainfall deficiency and dry seasons. And we can also reduce the effect of this drought by the mitigation process like construct rainwater harvesting system, provide the awareness of water conservation system techniques, and expand the irrigation facilities. Next, this is a term anthropogenic activities, which we earlier discussed. The human impact on environment, which causes any changes to the environment of biodiversity and natural resources, are called anthropogenic activities. This may be due to the overpopulation or overconsumption, exploitation, pollution, or fishing and farming, mining. And anthropogenic activity is a term which was first used by Russian geologist Alexei Pavlov. And this anthropogenic activities has a negative impact on environment because it can cause a mass extinction, decline in the biodiversity, and land degradation, ozone layer depletion, acid deposition. Air pollution. Next, we are going to discuss some pollutions which happen in the environment. There are different types of pollutions in the environment, like air, water, soil pollution, noise pollutions, like that. Solid waste, hazardous waste, solid waste, like this. There are different types of pollutions are there. And now we are going to discuss this first, the pollution which affects the air. That is air pollution. Air pollution is the undesirable changes in the atmosphere due to various activities. It is an undesirable change in the natural characteristics of the atmosphere due to the contamination in the environment by any chemical, biological, or physical agents. And the pollutants, which reason for the air pollutions, the sources for the pollutants are natural sources and anthropogenic sources. Natural source of pollutants are forest fires, volcanic eruptions, dust storms, or pollen grains, etc. And anthropogenic sources are two types. First one is domestic pollutants, and second one is industrial air pollutants. Domestic pollutants, which is caused by burning of fuel in our house for cooking purpose, or agriculture chemicals, which is sprayed on the several crops, or the agricultural lands, which is yeah, or fertilizers used in the agricultural land, and these are the source of pollutants. Source of pollutants, which is comes under the anthropogenic sources, and industrial pollutants are the pollutants comes out from the chemical industry, chemical plants, paper mills, etc. So the natural source of pollutants are the two types anthropogenic sources, and second one is industrial air pollutants. Anthropogenic sources are the pollutants which it can maybe the domestic pollutants or industrial air pollutants, and the industrial air pollutants are the pollutants which comes out from the chemical industry, cement plants, or paper mills. There are two types of pollutants. First one is primary pollutants and the secondary pollutants. Second one is secondary pollutants. Primary pollutants are substances which are directly emitted from the sources and remains as such. For example for the primary pollutants are smoke, ash, dust. And secondary pollutants are formed by the chemical reaction between the primary pollutants and the constituents of the environment. And there are some major air pollutants in the environment, like sulfur dioxide, ozone, nitrogen oxide, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, hydrocarbons, and chlorofluorocarbons. And Among these pollutants, carbon dioxide is described as a leading pollutant and worst climate pollutant. And sulfur dioxide or SO2 is produced by the volcanoes in various industrial processes. And nitrogen oxide is expelled from high temperature combustion. Combustion means in a burning or chemical reaction between a fuel or an oxidant. So nitrogen oxide is expelled from high temperature combustion and also produced by the thunderstorm by the electric discharge. Carbon monoxide is another type of the major air pollutant. It's a colorless, odorless, and a toxic gas. It's a product of combustion of fuel such as natural gas, coal, or wood. It can cause severe health problems to the human, like lung diseases or a disruption to the natural environment and the animals. And it can cause a severe respiratory diseases. It can damage lungs, heart, and reduce the oxygen carrying capacity of blood. It can cause nausea and it can irritate our eyes and throats. Among these pollutants, the carbon dioxide is described as a leading pollutant, and the nitrogen oxides and the sulfur dioxide is produced by various industrial processes. And one more pollutants is there, that is a carbons, which is a toxic gases. Uh, which causes the depletion of the ozone layer. And these are some of the pollutants that causes the severe diseases or this will have impact on human health. And the ammonia, which is from the dye making or explosive or fertilizers, can cause a damage, can causes the heart problems or lung problems. And through the burning of coal, gas, and oil, it can produce carbon monoxide, which can cause a headache, or it can reduce the oxygen carrying capacity of blood, chest pains, indistinct vision. This kind of health problems will occur when we breathe this carbon monoxide. Arsenic is another type of pollutants, which is occurs from the mining or ore extraction. It can damage all body parts. And hydrogen sulfides is emerging out from the motor vehicle exhaust or soft core, which can cause nausea, irritate eyes and throat. And nitrogen oxide is exhaust from vehicles and power plants, and which can cause respiratory infection and asthma. Aldehydes, it's coming through the decomposition of fats, oils, and glycerol, which can affect the nasal and respiratory tract. And acid rain. Acid rain is one of the major impact which is caused by the air pollution. It's a rain which contains a precipitation with the acidic compounds. The rain which contains some acidic nature or acid compounds is called acid rain, and it contains high level of hydrogen ions. And the acid rain formed when the sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide reacts with water molecules in the air. And sulfur dioxide and nitrogen dioxide is produced by either volcanic erosion or emitted from factories, extra. And the acid rain can affect the aquatic animals, human beings, forest, and soil. And the effect on the soil by the acid rain is that the chemical and biological composition of soil get lapsed, microbes get destroyed, microbes and decomposes get destroyed because of low pH levels. And it definitely, yes, the acid rains have some effect on the human beings, as it can affect their lungs and heart. And there are some effect of acid rain on forest which are situated in high altitudes get adversely affected by this acid rain. And acid rains also affects the aquatic animals, as the acid rain contains low pH value and high aluminum levels, which can affect the life forms in water and on the surface. At the low pH level, the fish eggs cannot hatch and it can result in the killing of fish. and several aquatic lives got eliminated because of this acid presence in the water. Next type of pollution is water pollution. Water pollution is a contamination of water bodies. It occurs when pollutants discharge directly or indirectly to the water bodies. When any pollutants which is from the domestic comes up from the home houses or the industries to the water bodies can causes the water pollution. And there are four types of water pollutions are there: physical pollution of water, chemical pollution of water, biological pollution of water, physiological pollution of water. Physical pollution of water means uh, this kind of pollutants can bring some changes to the physical properties, like changes of the water, like changes in the color, it can change the odor or the taste, etc. And second one is chemical pollution of water. Chemical pollution of the water is occurs due to the presence of inorganic or organic chemicals and other toxic organic components in the water. This is occurred by the presence of acids or alkalines, the presence of acids or alkalines in the water. And the biological pollution of water is due to the presence of pathogenic bacteria or a parasitic worms or parasitic worms and virus. And physiological pollution of water is caused by certain chemical agents like a chlorine, sulfur dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, etc. And it causes several diseases like waterborne diseases like jaundice, cholera, typhoid, blurring of vision, anemia, headache, muscle pain, and Itate disease or Ouch disease. Itate disease or Ouch disease is a painful disease of both the bones and the joints. And actually, this disease was first found in Japan. It was caused by the pollution from the Kamioka mine in the year 1960s. And the reason for the disease is the exposure of the cadmium. The exposure of the cadmium is more in that factory in the Japan, and the air which is outburst from the exposure of this cadmium. When the people breathe, they diseases which are painful diseases of the bones and joint occur among the people, and this is known as Itate disease or Ouch disease. Next one is soil pollution. Soil pollution is the presence of chemical in the soil, and the major sources of the soil pollution is industrial wastes, pesticides, fertilizers, manures, municipal wastes, mining wastes, etc. And presence of these chemicals and materials in the soil that have a significant effect on organisms or the soil function. Intensive use of chemicals, pesticides, and fertilizers can pollute the land, and we can reduce the soil pollution by adopting the 4 R's of waste management, that is refuse, reuse, reduce, and recycle. Refuse means instead of buying new containers from the market, use the ones that are in that are things which are kept in the house. And reuse means instead of throwing away, reuse the properties. Reduce means reduce the generation of unnecessary waste. And recycle means recycle the product and recycle the products and use the cloth or jute bags which is can be used over and over again. And it can causes severe damages to the soil, that it can affect the fertility of the soil, prevent the penetration of roots of plants, and it can change the pH value of soil and affect the small microorganisms. Next one is noise pollution. Noise pollution is also known as sound pollution, and it's a situation where the propagation of noise that distract and disturbs the balance of human and animal life. And noise pollution is mainly due to the industrialization and urbanization. There are two sources for the noise pollution. First one is industrial sources, and second one is non-industrial sources. Industrial sources includes the noise from the various industries and the big machines working at a high speed with a high noise intensity. And non-industrial source includes the noise created by transport or vehicular traffic. And the pollution is measured in decimals, and the normal hearing capacity of man is from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. And the over noise or over sound and this noise pollution have severely effect on human, like it decreases the efficiency of human mental health problems, can cause sleeplessness and high blood pressure, hearing problems, heart problems. It can cause this kind of health problems to the human. Next is solid waste management. Solid waste management is a type of solid waste is the unwanted or useless solid materials from the residential, commercial, or industrial areas. It can include any material. It can maybe solid, liquid, or gas. And the sources for the solid waste management are domestic waste, institutional waste, commercial waste, construction waste, biomedical waste, etc. And as per the report of the World Bank in 2016, the world's cities generated 2.01 billion tons of solid waste. And annual waste generation is expected to increase by 70% from 2016 to 3.440 billion tons in 2050, which means that solid waste are increasing year by year. And we can adopt 4 hours to reduce the solid waste, and the solid waste management can be done through adopting this 4 hours by refuse, reuse, and reduce and recycle uh, the uh, the materials. Next is hazardous waste management. Hazardous waste management. Hazardous waste means if any waste, either solid, liquid, or gaseous substance, which can cause danger to the health or environment due to its physical, chemical, or reactive or toxic characteristics, when this substances is improperly treated or improperly stored or improperly disposed of, and this means a hazardous waste. And as a definition given by the a definition is given by the U.S. Federal Resources Conservation and Recovery Act in 1976, like it's a toxic substance which can be capable of causing some threat to the human health and environment, and has to be treated separately from the all other wastes. And this is a definition given by the U.S. Federal Resources Conservation and Recovery Act 1976. And the sources for the hazardous waste are the coal industry, petroleum industry, electroplating industry, leather industry, textile industry, etc. And this can cause behavior abnormalities, cancer, genetic mutations, birth defects. Next, there are some developments or some there are some developments like a Millennium Development Goals, substantial development goals, were founded by the UN for the protection of the environment and to reduce this type of pollutions, and solid waste management for the hazardous waste management, and for to protect the environment. There are some development goals were formulated. One of the development goal is Millennium Development Goals. Millennium Development Goals. Actually, it's also it is can be said as MDGs. And in September 2000, the leaders of 189 countries signed the historic Millennium Declaration to achieve 8 measurable goals that range from having extreme poverty and hunger to promote gender equality and reducing child mortality by the target date of 2015. And it was established in the Millennium Summit of UN in 2000, and 189 countries signed this Millennium Declaration, and it sets an 8 international development goals in order to achieve by the target date of 2050. And Mr. Kofi Annan, the Secretary General of the UN, inaugurated the summit, and headquarters of UN is in New York. And Eight goals were the goals which is set in the Millennium Development Summit. The eight goals which is developed in the Millennium Summit are more realistic and easy to communicate with a clear measurement monitoring mechanism. Millennium Declaration emphasize on development with a targeted attention towards a traditionally marginalized groups such as ethnic minorities, indigenous groups, and women. And eight goals of the Development Goals are these. The first one is to eradicate extreme poverty and hunger. Second one is to achieve universal primary education. Third one is to promote gender equality and empower women. And fourth one is reduce child mortality. And fifth one is improve maternal health. And sixth one is combat HIV or AIDS, malaria, and other diseases. And seventh one is ensure environmental sustainability. And the last one is to develop a global partnership for development. They have these eight international development goals and 18 targets. So let's see what are these goals and the targets. The first one is to eradicate extreme poverty and hunger, and this goal is target to halve between the 1990 and 2015 the proportion of people whose income is less than $1 a day, and to achieve the full and productive employment to all, and to reduce the proportion of people who suffer from hunger. And second goal is achieve universal primary education, and it uh, targets that both boys and girls will be able to complete a full course of primary schooling by 2050. A third goal is promote gender equality and empower women. Is to eradicate gender disparity in primary and secondary education by 2005 and in all levels of education by 2015. It's an important goal among these eight goals because this goal is try to eradicate the gender disparity in primary and secondary education by 2005 and in all levels of education by 2015. This is the most important, one of the important goal. And fourth one is reduce child mortality, and they are trying to reduce that the target. They target to reduce the under five mortality rate by two-thirds. And fifth one is to improve maternal health. The target to reduce the maternal mortality rate by 75% and universal access to reproductive health. And sixth goal is to combat HIV or AIDS, malaria, and other diseases. And then through this goal, they target to halt the HIV or AIDS by 2015 and started to reverse the spread of HIV or AIDS, and to achieve the global access to treatment for the HIV or AIDS. And seventh one is ensure environment sustainability. It targeted following four things. The first one is to integrate the principles of sustainable development in the country policies and progress, and reduce the biodiversity loss, and to achieve a substantial improvement in the lives of at least 100 million slum dwellers by 2020, and by 2015 have the proportion of the people without sustainable access to the safe drinking water and the basic sanitation. And the eighth one is to develop a global partnership for the development. This goal is to target for the development open, rule-based, predictable, non-discriminatory trading and financial system, and it's mainly focuses to address the special needs of least developed countries and to address the special needs of landlocked developing countries and small island developing states, and to deal with the debt problems of the developing nations. And also, uh, they are trying to acquire the benefits of new technologies with the collaboration with the private sector. Next is Sustainable Development Goals. It's also known as SDGs. And sustainable development means it's defined as the development that needs that needs of present without that it's a kind of development that fulfill the needs of present without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. The United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, that's UNCED, defined the concept of sustainable development. In 2015, all UN member states adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. It's a blueprint for the peace and prosperity and healthy life for the people and the planet for now and the future. In 2015, all UN member states adopted this 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and there are 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which are an urgent call for the action for all the countries, both developed and developing countries, in the global partnership. And these are the 17 goals of sustainable development goals in order to transform our world. The first one is no poverty. No, to this goal aim to end the poverty in all its forms everywhere. There should be no poverty when it in the in by the year 2030. And second goal is zero hunger. And it aims to end the hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. Third one is good health and well-being. And this goal is to ensure healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. Fourth one is quality education. This goal mainly aims to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunity to all. And fifth one is gender equality. This aims to achieve the gender equality and empower all women and girls. Sixth one is clean water and sanitization. It is to ensure the availability and sustainability management of water and sanitation for all. Seventh one is affordable and clean energy. And this is mainly aims to ensure the access to the affordable, reliable, and sustainable and modern energy for all. Eighth one is to promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. Nine goal is industry innovation and infrastructure. This is for building the resilient infrastructure, promoted inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. And the next one is reduce inequalities. This tries to reduce inequalities within and among countries. And next one is sustainable cities and communities. This aims to make the cities and human settlements safe and sustainable. And next one is responsible consumption and production. And this goal aims to ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns. And 30th goal is climate action. This goal aims to take an urgent action to combat or fight the climate changes and its impact. And the next one is life below water. And this goal mainly tries to conserve and sustainable use the oceans, seas, and marine resources for the sustainable development. 15th goal is life on land. This goal target to protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainably manage the forest, and halt and reverse land degradation, halt biodiversity loss. And next goal is peace, justice, and strong institutions. And this goal is aims to promote inclusive or peaceful societies for the sustainable development and to provide justice for all and build effective and accountable institutions at all levels. And this, Asha, can you see the PPT?
No.
Can you see?
Yeah, it's visible now.
So, Sustainable Development Goals (SDG). Sustainable development. Before going to sustainable development goals, just a minute. Before going to sustainable development goals, let's see what is sustainable development. Sustainable development is defined as a development that can fulfill the needs of present without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. And it's a blueprint for the better. And the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, that is UNCED, defined the concept of sustainable development. Uh, and the Sustainable Development Goals, it's also known as the Global Goals. Actually, it is a blueprint for the future, better sustainable future. And these Sustainable Development Goals are set to achieve by the year 2030. And in the actually it is in the September. It is formulated in the year 2000, and in September 2000, the leaders of 189 countries signed the historic Millennium Declaration in the UN General Assembly. That is a Millennium Summit, which is which was chaired by the Mr. Kofi Annan, the Secretary General of UN, and they set the 8 millennium development goals to achieve by the year 2015, which ranges from having the extreme poverty, hunger, and to promote gender equality and reducing the child mortality and by the target date of 2015. And these 8 goals were realistic and easy to communicate with a clear measurement or monitoring mechanism. And this Millennium Declaration actually emphasizes on the development with the targeted attention towards traditionally marginalized groups such as ethnic minorities or indigenous groups and women. Sustainable development goals are 17, and there are 17 goals to transform our world by the sustainable development goals. First one is uh, no poverty, and this goal which aims to end poverty in all its forms everywhere. And second is a zero hunger, which is aims to end hunger, achieve food security, and improve nutrition and promote sustainable agriculture. And third one is good health and well-being, which is to ensure the healthy lives and promote well-being for all at all ages. And the fourth goal is quality education, which is to ensure the inclusive, equitable, quality education, promote lifelong learning and opportunity to all. And fifth one is gender equality. This goal is aims to achieve the gender equality and empower all women and girls. And sixth one is clean water and sanitation. It is to ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. Seventh one is affordable and clean energy. Its aims to ensure the access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. Eighth one is decent work and economic growth, and this aims to promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, and decent work for all. Ninth goal is industry, innovation, and infrastructure. And this goal aims to build infrastructures and promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization and foster or enhance the innovations. Tenth one is reduce inequalities, and this goal tries to reduce equality within and among countries. And 11th one is sustainable cities and communities. And this goal aims to make cities and human settlements more safe and sustainable. Third one is responsible consumption and production, and it's mainly aims to ensure the sustainable consumption and production patterns. 13th goal is the climate action. Climate action actually targeted to take a action or urgent action to combat or fight the climate changes and its impact. And 14th goal is to conserve sustainability, use the ocean, seas, and marine resources for the sustainable development. 15th goal is the life on Earth, which aims to protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystem and to manage forest and to reverse the land degradation and reduces the biodiversity loss. And the 16th goal is that peace, justice, and strong institutions. And this aims to promote peaceful and inclusive societies for a sustainable development, for for provide the access to the justice for all and build effective, inclusive institutions at all levels. 17th goal is partnership for the goals, and this goal aims to strengthen the means of implementation and the global partnership for the sustainable development. These are the 17 goals of sustainable development goals. Next, there are some legal laws and legal rules which is formulated by the countries or the UN to protect our environment from the pollutions or from the solid waste, from the hazardous waste. And among these legislations, we are going to discuss some of the act. The first one is Environmental Protection Act. This act is enacted in the year 1986 and it is came into force after Bhopal gas tragedy in 1984. This Environment Protection Act or EPA just considers an umbrella legislation. It aims to protect and improve quality control and reduce the pollution from all sources. It deals with the various aspects of environmental problems such as pollution, hazardous waste management, or environment degradation. Other objectives of the EPA are the uh, protect. It's aimed to protect. I already told that it's aimed to protect and improve the quality of environment and reduce the pollution. And also they have some more objectives to protect the life of the human beings and life of the human living beings and the properties from the hazards and to maintain a relationship between the human being and the environment. There are some rules were notified under this act, like hazardous waste rules 1989, manufacture, storage, and import of hazardous chemical rules 1989, and 96, biomedical waste rules in 1998. Just remember these years of this act and rules, and there is a penalty also there for this act. And under Section 15 of Environmental Protection Act 1986, if any person fails to comply any rule of this act, shall be punishable with a fine of 1 lakh or with imprisonment of 5 years or both. So the Environment Protection Act, which enacted in 1986, it's an umbrella legislation and this was last amended in the year 1991. It mainly aims to protect and improve the quality of environment and reduce the pollution. Next one is National Action Plan on Climate. It is formally launched on June 13, 2008. It mainly focuses on promoting the understanding climate change, natural resource conservation, adoption, and mitigation. And mitigation means there are some the measures means the measures which is taken to reduce the harmful effect of the hazard. And the main purpose of this National Action Plan on Climate Change is to protect the poor and vulnerable sections of society through sustainable development. developing and also to develop appropriate sophisticated technologies for the adaptation and mitigation of greenhouse gases emission, and it aims to develop innovative technologies for the sustainable development. There are 8 missions on under this National Action Plan on Climate Change. First one is National Solar Mission. It was formulated, it was launched in the year 2010. It mainly aims to increase the share of solar energy in the total energy mix of the country, to expand the scope of the renewable resources, uh, which is more cost effective, sustainable, and convenient system. And second one is National Mission for Enhanced Energy Efficiency, and the targeted date is in 2000. Launched in the year 2011. It's an uh, it's an innovative measure to make energy sufficient appliances, and in order to create the conductive regulatory and policy regime. And third mission is the National Mission on Sustainable Habitat, which is launched in the year 2010. It's mainly aims to improve energy efficiency of buildings in residential and commercial sector, and aims to managing the municipal solid waste and to promote urban public transport. And National Water Mission is the fourth mission under the National Action Plan on Climate Change. This is to conserve, which is launched in the year 2009, and it aims to conserve the water, minimizing the wastage, and ensure more equitable distribution through the integrated water resource management, and also aims to enhance the surface and underground water storage, and to enhance more efficient irrigation systems. And the fifth mission is National Mission for Sustaining the Himalayan Ecosystem, and it was launched in the year 2010. And the objective of this mission is mission to adopt appropriate land use planning and watershed management practices, to adopt best practices for infrastructure construction, and to develop protection strategies for the mountain crops, and to encourage cultivation of traditional varieties of crops, and to promote organic farming. And the sixth mission is that National Mission for a Green India, which is launched in the year 2014. It aims to protect, restore, and enhance India's diminishing forest cover, and respond to the climate change by the adopting some mitigation measures. And the second last mission is that it's a National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture. It mainly aims to enhance agricultural productivity, and focusing the integrating farming, water use efficiency, and the synergizing the resource conservation. And the last mission is National Mission on Strategic Knowledge for Climate Change, which is launched in the year 2008. It makes the aim to create awareness on the threat posed by the climate change and the steps to encounter it. There are some environmental conventions and agreements uh, occurs to protect the environment from the environmental pollutions, and for the and protecting the environment. The first one is Rio Summit. Rio Summit is formulated uh, in the year 1992, and actually it is known as United Nations Conference on Environmental and Development Summit, or a Earth Summit, which is occurred in the year 1992 and held in Rio de Janeiro, which is in the Brazil, and it was a major United Nations conference from June 3rd to 14th, June 14th, 1992, and is chaired by Maurice F. Strong. And this Rio Summit is mainly um, held to address some issues like a systematic scrutiny of patterns of production, especially the production of toxic compounds like poisonous waste, radioactive materials, and to identify the alternate source of energy to replace the use of fossil fuels. And the third one is to promote public transport system to reduce the vehicular emissions or health issues caused by the air pollution. And second convention is a convention on biodiversity. It's called CBD, and it is informally known as Biodiversity Convention. And it's a multilateral treaty having three goals: to conserve the biological diversity, or to sustainable use of its components, and equitable share of benefits from the genetic resources. And the CBDT Secretariat is based on the Montreal operates under the UN Environmental Program, and the main function is to organizing the meeting, draft documents, assist in the implementation of work, and coordinate and collect information. Next one is Kyoto Protocol. It's an international treaty which extends UNFCCC, that is United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. It mainly aims to Protocol is mainly aims to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions which causes the global warming, and it's mainly and its object and the it is already the main objective is to reduce the greenhouse gas emission, and it has one more uh, objective that the developing countries are required to measure their annual emissions, and it is adopted in the Kyoto, which is in the Japan, on the 11th December 1997, and it came into force on 16th February 2005. And there are now 192 parties entered into the protocol, and this Protocol is works on the principle of common but differentiated responsibilities, and it has objectives like to reduce the annual emissions of greenhouse gases, and in order to reduce the annual emission of greenhouse gases, there is no compulsion or obligation on the developing countries, and it formulated a flexible mechanism to achieve the target, and this there are three mechanisms to achieve the targets to reduce the annual emission of greenhouse gases. By first one is international emission trading. International emission trading, or IET, is it's a mechanism by assigning some allowances or units to the countries, to the member countries, to limit on emissions, and if they exceed the permit, they can buy the limit from other members. This is known as international emission trading. And second, and the joint implementation and clean development mechanism are the project mechanisms. And joint implementation means a developing countries with having the high cost of domestic greenhouse gas emission reduction can set up a project in another developing countries having the relatively low cost and having the low carbon credits. And clean development mechanism allows a country with an emission reduction to implement an emission reduction project in developing countries. They can set up an emission reduction projects in the developing countries. We discussed about the Rio Summit, Convention on Biodiversity, Kyoto Protocol, and next we're going to discuss Montreal Protocol. Montreal Protocol on substance. It's actually this protocol is formulated on the substance that depleted the ozone layer. It's an international treaty which is designed to protect this ozone layer, and it is signed by the 46 countries on 16 September 1987, and um, this agreement is mainly aims to stop and reduce the production of substances which causes the depletions in the ozone layer. And India became a member on this Montreal Protocol in the year 1992. Next one is Paris Agreement. It is also referred as Paris Accords or Paris Climate Accords, and it's an international treaty on climate change. There are 196 parties negotiate the agreement in the United Nations Climate Change Conference, that is UNCCP, at France in the year 2015. And this agreement was signed on 22nd April 2016, and it came into effect on 4th November 2016. It mainly aims to combat or fight against the climate changes. And this aims to this limit and control the global warming to well below 2 degrees Celsius, and preferably later limited it to 1.5 degrees Celsius. And it also aims to attaining net zero emissions in the second half of the 21st century. And it also aims to enhance the ability of parties to adapt the climate change impacts and mobilize sufficient fund from the supporting mechanisms of financial institutions. And each countries in this agreement in this Paris agreement, each countries must determine and plan and report their contribution. There's no compulsion on the countries to fix their emission target, but each target should go beyond the previous emission targets. Last one is International Solar Alliance, or ISA. Actually, this alliance is initiated by India, and it was an alliance of the 124 countries, and most of the countries are sunshine countries. Sunshine countries are either completely or partially situated between the Tropic of Cancer and Tropic of Capricorn. The primary objective is to work for efficient consumption of solar energy and to reduce the dependence on fossil fuels. And this alliance, International Solar Alliance, was first proposed by the Honorable Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi in a speech in November 2015 at Wembley Stadium. It is launched by the Prime Minister, uh, Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the India Africa Summit. And the headquarters of this International Solar Alliance in Gurugram, that's in Haryana. And Narendra Modi and French President Francois Hollande jointly laid the foundation stone for the ISA headquarters in January 2016. And India has pledged a target of installing 175 gigawatt of renewable energy, of which 100 gigawatt will be the solar energy by 2022, and to reduce the emission intensity by 33 to 35 percentage by 2030. And India also pledged to the Paris summit by offering to bring 40% of the electricity generation capacity from non-fossil sources by 2030. These are the portions which are coming under the topic people development and environment. I think most of all the portions are covered in this presentation. So, is there any doubt? Asha?
Okay, ma'am. So can we conclude?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so here we comes to the end of today's session. Hope you all enjoyed the session and had a fruitful time. So today we had a beautiful session on people development and environment, which covered all the major areas under this specific topic in a short time period. So ma'am, it was very illuminating session, and I would like to thank Jeby ma'am for spending her time from her busy schedule and enlightening us on this topic. So I would like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you so much, ma'am. So now I would like to thank all our participants for their active participation. Thank you all. So we'll be meeting in our next session, and the next session will be updated soon in our Telegram channel and WhatsApp group. Thank you all. It's me, Arsha, MPhil Scholar and coordinator of the session, signing off. Thank you all.